Some of the top banks in the United States are scrambling to keep the doors open. We have Congress taking aim at Gary Gensler and the SEC, and Coinbase rolling out perpetual futures. What the hell's going on? All this and more on today's Blockchain Basement.
Bum, 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 bum. You ready for this? I'm ready. Welcome.
If you're gonna screw me, at least pull my hair.
Hell yeah. What you got?
They could start chopping off fingers. They're like, give me your seed phrase, but I don't know it.
Out to give the numbers out. And I was like, no, hang up the phone right now.
Or like when it dropped in 2020, was it like exciting?
400,000 to 600,000. The generational signals are now.
Level. So I don't even know if we're gonna get back below there. But if we do, that's kind of where we.
You know, your left hand often looks different than your right hand after years. Welcome all to the Blockchain Basement. I have the crew, the OG crew, up in the house here. We're getting after it. Filming a lot of shows today. Me and Joel are busy. We're going to be putting together quite a bit of content. How are you doing? How are you doing, Hannah? Thanks for joining us today.
Hey, I'm good. I'm great. Bitcoin to 100K.
That's not a question of if, but when. That's going to happen. That's the grand question everyone has. Joel, what you got going today? Are you coming to my house to make some prepper material?
Not, or not today. I fly out to Vegas tomorrow, though, AO.
TwitchCon.
TwitchCon, already.
Yes.
That's
now,
fun.
what's the costume, Joel? Let's be honest.
I'm not cosplaying. No, it's just gonna be fun. What's up, chat? I love you guys so very much.
BJ, what the hell is your deal today? How are you feeling?
Fine.
You're so hairy.
Just fine? Fine. Well, that's the way it goes. Nicole, up in the chat. Corey Harden, C90 FTW, Crypto Stevo, Crypto My Veins. Thank you for being the foundation of which this greatness is built upon. People are showing out every day. And yes, Nicole said it right. Let's get 100 likes on this stream before we end. Help us push us into the algorithmic robot's mind's eye and get the word out to the masses because it's a fun time. I'm having a good time in crypto. The world at large is having kind of a bad time, so we're here trying to change people's lives for the better, get them to focus on something that's positive because there's always piles of negativity going on, and it's easy to get wrapped up in that. So just keeping that in mind, we have...
So we're putting in a long on negativity?
Putting on the long... Yeah, that'd be a good trade to take right now.
I think you should smash the like button to put in a short on negativity.
Do it. Do it. Kind of scary though today. Cryptos R Us. He got his channel deleted.
I know
We're
why.
next.
I know
for sure.
why.
You know why? Why did this
If you
happen?
smash the like buttons, I'll say why.
Smash the like. You do it. I need to know
Hit the
why.
likes.
This just
What are we
broke.
I'm completely bamboozling people. But you should just hit this like button.
I don't like George is so even keel though. So seeing this, boy, are we at risk because I have not been even keel. We'll see how we pan out in this culling of YouTube channels. Hopefully it's not just aimed at crypto content makers in general. That would really suck because then we aren't able to spread the message. Most of the conversation had in society right now is on the digital sphere, the digital square. So seeing George get taken out like that, very questionable because he's been very even keel and rarely gets into any kind of, scarier, tougher to talk about kind of subjects.
Yeah, Owen needs to get like a button for when you start going off that he can shock you. Like, stop.
Oh yeah,
You're gonna get banned.
Oh my
That's
God,
a good idea.
Let chat be able to do that.
That would be a
And
interesting
everyone in
idea.
chat's like, press the button.
That's how you get engagement.
Stop him.
But yeah, man, if you can go show some support for George, message YouTube, tag him on Twitter. Let's get his channel back up. We got to get this. We got to show the power of the people that want the word of crypto to be spread because this just ain't cool. I obviously have had a long history of having channels and profiles deleted, and I feel for you, George, and you don't deserve that. Now, honestly, none of us do. If you're not saying anything illegal, you shouldn't be taken out of the digital sphere. So just gonna leave it there. As far as Bitcoin goes, we have some calls. Obviously, we're talking. I'll show you.
Got a nice pool built.
A nice. Oh yeah, no, he just got his pool. It's just about done, but it's going to be a little too late for the kiddos to enjoy it. So
Until next year.
yes, until next year. But he's got time to stack Bitcoin, and so do we. That's the good news here. Bitcoin is currently just only 1% above its key lower high. Everyone says it needs to stay above this level, 28,000. I don't honestly think that it absolutely has to. It is, in my opinion, forming a bull flag soon to come. But this position itself for a weekly close above the trend line to confirm a breakout above 28K. A weekly close below the lower high, however, could spell stronger rejection. Just on the rejection levels where it sits, this is from Crypto Rover.
That's my problem with TA. It's like, yeah, on what timeline?
I know,
Like,
right.
it needs this.
I
Like,
know.
On what timeline?
And it's important to know where others are saying, but here's where a lot of people are saying our rejection range is, and this is reasonable to assume that you're going to get slapped a little bit around when you get back up to this 31.5 mark. But what I see forming is a bull flag. Will probably flatten out a little bit and then have a moment up. That's my opinion, not really the opinion of these kind of experts, right? I'm just been in crypto for a while and I'm a hillbilly, so I don't like to consider myself an expert, but I've been doing pretty damn well. So Bitcoin, according to just the yearly, we're still looking pretty good. This is the year, and it's just trying to carve out a new little runway for some upward action. I do think it's coming, but if we do get that 25 spot again or even below, I have powder on the sidelines, but I think it's game on. For Chainlink, for stronger altcoins, it's a bold thing to think right now because we're kind of in that accumulation range. We saw Bitcoin dominance screaming up earlier this week, and actually is still screaming up. It's on Coin Market Cap, it's coming in at 51%. But I'm here risking it for the biscuit. I got into altcoins a little bit ahead of the time frame where we wait for pundits on Twitter to tell us it's okay to move into the assets. I don't really do that. And I especially don't like staying with the mindset that things are going lower if I find everyone around me is beginning to say the same thing. So just kind of the way I'm wired, and it's only by how I've been in crypto. It's been a very aggressive move against the grain type process for me. So that's what's worked. That's where I'm at with it. We are sitting right at the 200 moving average right now. Kelly was highlighting that 28.2 is essentially the spot he's watching, but our 200 week moving average is coming flat at $28,000. So we'll see where that goes. I'm thinking we're going north from here for a bit.
When's the last time the 200-day moving average flatlined like that?
Let's see here.
That's not super common.
Yeah, that is kind of weird,
like
huh?
Plateau.
Let's back up a little bit and see how. Yeah, that is. Look at this thing. That is interesting. Let's see. Right here. Bam. And then this dip was the banking collapse. Remember, we had right around this time frame Silicon Valley
Bank.
Bank.
Back farther, do we have a upward trajectory on the 200-day that then plateaus and then goes up? Because you obviously see a downward and then a plateau and then an up.
I'm not signed in on my plan here. This is only giving me back to 2022.
Because that would be interesting to look at.
Yeah, I mean, it only looks like it's flatlined recently, right in this time frame where we were playing around between 20,000 to 24,000.
The day chart.
I'm on the 3 hour. I'll go to the daily, see what I can pull up there. I think it's not really going to change much.
I don't think it will either, but I'm just interested.
No,
because I know nothing.
It ain't going to change it. So I just want to highlight this though. Look at this. Pull this up again. I just want to make note of this. So Silicon Valley Bank went under right in this time frame. It was holding $3.3 billion worth of Circle USDC, and that caused USDC to depeg for that short amount of time. Multiple banks collapsed kind of in this cavern here. And then since then, Bitcoin is up by over 40%. I think we're coming in up by right around 45% from the depths of those multiple banks going under, which interestingly enough were mostly crypto-centric banks that just happen to be exposed to underwater securities. Now we have this situation, another kind of break in the system, probably going to get slapped around a bit from all the fear, but in general, I think we're going to be able to try out 31.5 sooner than later. I think 31.5 is coming before 25, and I'm sticking to it.
Side note, Candle Daddy said, yo, C cubed. So are we starting to call Crimson Caravan Company C cubed?
C cubed? That's a pretty sick name.
I like it.
That is a pretty sick name.
C cubed?
C cubed.
C cubed and H squared.
Or C cubed.
We should come up with nicknames for everyone. All the OGs in the chat, like Steve-O, Hardin, Nicole. We got to come up with names for you guys. Let us know. Give us ideas on the most preferred nickname.
That's not how nicknames work. We give them.
We have to just give it to them.
They are bequeathed.
Oh my God.
Corey is the eggplant. That's
Corey's the eggplant.
Yeah, he always.
That's
has eggplants.
true. He always is dropping the eggplant in on us.
He's the eggplant.
That is true. Okay.
Candle Daddy's just daddy.
Daddy. Candle Diddy.
Confused with Zaddy.
All right, and the reason why I think we have some chop, honestly, you guys saw what happened last night. I'll just don't pull this up yet.
Well, it depends who you ask what actually happened.
Well, yeah, absolutely. What I know did happen is that the black flag has been risen above the Razavi shrine. Islam is calling for all-out war. So that's coming. There's going to be problems going on in the Middle East.
Wait, that's not on the Dome of the Rock, is? No, the Razavi Shrine. I have no clue where that is.
This is just, I think, tied into what we saw with those widespread protests that were all timed out at the same time. It's going to get sticky, not only in the social sphere, but in the banking sphere. And the banking sphere is kind of the stuff that I'm most primarily concerned about because it's lack of oversight from our securities SEC commission, basically just letting our banks be exposed ass up to underwater securities that are shown to collapse banks. Now we have more coming, but thankfully Congress is looking like they're stepping in at least on the crypto side to begin with. I have still yet to hear a peep from the congressional leadership about what he has done to protect banks from the situation that they're in, which we're going to get into. But first, let's talk about the good news. Eleanor Tourette came out with this earlier this morning. The SEC Gov has added crypto to its list of 2024 exam priorities. Note that most crypto companies are not registered with the SEC, thus they do not pay those registration fees. Does this indicate that Gary Gensler is using agency resources and funds paid for by registered companies to make it a priority to crack down on crypto as a whole? As the industry, he has not been authorized to regulate yet by Congress. That's the congressional meeting that we're going to have here in a second. It's coming up on October 24th. It's coming right up. Or does the SEC expect that more crypto companies will be registered within the agency by that time? I think it's the first option. I think he's using our money to muddy up the waters even more. I think he's using those companies' money to play against them and fight the system of crypto and regulation down so that he can kind of make up the rules as he goes.
So is he just in that chair until he gets removed? Like, I actually don't know how that chair's appointed.
I think they have to remove him from Congress. Yeah. So that's why I'm hopeful we get some fireworks.
He's not voted on. It's just he's appointed.
Yes, I believe so. Yes, he's just appointed, and that's why I'm hopeful Congress really gets red-eyed during the next meeting that's coming up. U.S. Congress is going to scrutinize the SEC's agenda amid its war against crypto. This is the juicy stuff. This is the stuff I like to get popcorn out for and watch these bureaucrats wiggle under the microscope of the federal government. The United States House Financial Service Committee, FSC, a committee within the U.S. Congress, has announced a hearing scheduled for Tuesday, October 24th, and this is to review the U.S. SEC's agenda and its unintended consequences on capital markets and investors. Hearing to address the concerns on crypto regulation. At the time of writing, the House Financial Services Committee has yet to provide a memo on the hearing or a list of witnesses. So that's going to be interesting. I really, really am hoping that Gary Gensler is part of that group that's up on stand again because it deserves it. The committee chairman has broadly expressed dissatisfaction with the SEC's approach to regulating the digital assets industry. Specifically, Chairman Patrick McHenry has called out the SEC for failing to comply to congressional oversight by overreaching to regulate an industry that Congress has not granted the agency power to oversee. Fantastic. I love it. I love how pissed Patrick McHenry is. I hope that the anger continues to be reawakened because this is absolutely leaving America in the dust when it comes to comparing our ability to innovate to Singapore or Hong Kong. These other locations are opening up the doors to crypto while we're just sitting here holding our thumbs, watching the whole world move by. Are we arbitraging it on purpose and then coming in at the last second to be the savior? Time will tell on that story. But over the past year, the SEC has brought enforcement actions against the mainstay crypto companies like Ripple, Coinbase, Binance, and Kraken. The House Committee perceives these actions as an overreach and hopes to curtail the SEC's efforts, which have largely impeded the growth of assets in the U.S. Just kind of what I was talking about. BJ, what happened to Kraken? Why don't we talk about Kraken more often anymore?
I never knew a lot about it.
Well, Jesse Powell was in the news like crazy. About 6 months ago, he planned on opening up his own bank, and has since. I mean, I think he ran into some.
Do we know where he's working now at all? Or
I think he's still part of Kraken. Is Jesse Powell still part of Kraken? Still overseeing Kraken. Let me see.
Because I mean, a lot of times when there's regulation going on, you see people leave these companies, go get government positions, or vice versa.
He's still the CEO of them. Oh no, wait, no, he steps down. That's what happened. Oh, I know. I remember this. Yes.
Over a year ago.
Yeah. I remember this happened, and he was just kind of like been consulting. I wonder where his bank is. We need to look into Jesse Powell and see what he is doing because he might be up to building out that actual that bank that he had proposed earlier this year.
Steve-O said that the 0.011 or 0.001% is stirring up FUD again.
0.001%?
How much Native American Elizabeth Warren is.
Oh, so God. What a mess that was.
Did she say she was?
Yeah.
She had a website.
Like all white people say that they're Native American. She's saying it trying to.
No, she was serious about it. She wasn't. It wasn't like a soft-sided, like maybe I'm a piece. Like she was like, this is my history. Go to my website and see everything. Here's the link. I don't even want to say it. To pander to the left, I think.
Yeah,
I think
like
that's what it was.
I mean.
I think that's what.
Why are you doing that?
She's a liar. She got to pander to people. It's the way it goes. Now, Congress is pissed about crypto. Got that out of the way. I brought up a little bit about the reasoning why I'm pissed that they haven't talked about the underwater securities for banks. Honestly, doesn't make me that mad, though, because it's helping banks collapse faster. And I feel like they're just going to collapse into where we're positioned in blockchain, Bitcoin. But Bank of America.
I don't think that helps crypto.
You don't think?
No. I think that's in the sense of back to if they're trying to push the CDBC, you need to create a catalyst for a reset.
Well, but I think that people wanting freedom are going to lean outside of that.
So say even if crypto rips, all these banks crash, you centralize the banks, there's only 2 banks, both those banks decide, well, there's no way that you're off-ramping into us. Cool. Like right now, you potentially have options. Like I know Chase doesn't like them, so say your option was Chase, you go to a different bank. But if you have massive centralization, you can shut off you're basically truncating the off-ramps.
I think that the ability to be decentralized is like an unstoppable force. I think the banks can try to control it, but if that level of control came in, I'd be leaving the country. Like I wouldn't be staying here. You know what I mean? Like I don't think that that's long term what's going to happen.
But if enough of your assets are tied up, do you have liquidity to even do that? I know that's not the case for you, and I know that's not the case for pretty much anyone. But it's kind of a relevant conversation to have.
Yeah. I completely disagree. I think that it's going to collapse into our laps. That's just how I feel. And Bank of America is starting to realize that it's at risk, which is pretty surprising because they're one of the top 6 banks in the country. They are sitting on the unrealized loss levels at $131 billion as it sits right now.
What else is funny about that number?
Oh, God. Oh, yeah. You mentioned
Guess how much money is an FDIC?
Yes. That's
spoiler alert.
Just this one bank would eat that up.
$1.6 billion less than that.
Yeah.
Because I remember bringing that up when Silicon Valley was $300 billion. People were like, "Oh, FDIC, it's fine." And it's like, well, the reserves are $130 billion.
That's a great note.
Do keep a lot of that in mind. That like, all right, FDIC doesn't cover.
I mean, it would cover like this one particular instance.
It technically would not even cover that. It would be $1.6 billion short of that one bank.
Such a sad situation.
So basically, don't use that bank.
I mean, it's not looking great. I wouldn't be in these.
I don't like Skank of America anyway.
Yeah, I would be in credit unions outside of these things, man. You don't have to be in one of these big ones.
Did you know what Drew told me today? He said, take everything out of your retirement and put it into crypto. And I literally about to press the button. I might get divorced, guys. I don't know.
I'm pondering doing that.
I've already done it.
There's so little that I have in it that it's like I might as well just do it.
I might move into the woods next to Drew.
Yeah, I have more in crypto than I do in retirement.
Yeah, I mean, my entire portfolio outside of real estate and vehicles, which are paid, is crypto. I don't really keep fiat laying around. I don't see any reason for it. Unrealized losses have come under close scrutiny by investors since March. At the time, SVB sold a portfolio of its holdings at a sharp loss, precipitating its collapse and fueling the worst industry turmoil since 2008 with the housing crisis. All these unrealized losses are on government-guaranteed securities. Bank of America's chief financial officer, Alastair Borthwick, told reporters on a conference call discussing the third quarter earnings, because we're holding them to maturity, we will anticipate that they will have 0 losses over time. So they're kind of banking on long-term, maybe this panning out well, kind of biting the bullet, fighting through the interest rates as they rise.
So here's my question.
Yeah.
This is a question. Yeah, this is a question. No, I'm kidding. So as interest rates go up, they have to raise the bond yields.
Mm-hmm.
But if those aren't going up, like what is the correlation between interest rates going up and bond yields going up? Because right now, if they're having the unrealized losses, how do you curtail that so that, exactly as it said, that in the future they can come out even?
Well, I think that you'd have to see a pullback on interest rates back in the levels where, like 3-4%. On that note,
I just don't know how you do that.
It's tough. And if it goes by history in the 70s and 80s, it should go back up and then take a while to come back down.
That for the next, it should continue going up at minimum, I would say 18 years.
Yeah.
And then spend 20 coming back down.
Yeah. That'd be ugly. That would be real
what it's
ugly.
done the past 80 years on a 240-year cycle.
I know. I mean, and it's not like everything's looking sound. Like we had this from the Kobleski letter on kind of the Treasury note and where everything's at, because I bring up FHLB all the time. So we'll just kind of look at what we're talking about here. The 10-year note yield is officially above the median cap rate for the first time since the 08 crisis, according to Reventure Consulting. In simple terms, the return on an investment property is now below a 10-year Treasury note. It should be no surprise that investors purchasing are now down a massive 45% this year. And as rates continue to rise, investors will continue to scale back. We should see 8% mortgages, which we did. This was actually put out before the news broke on the 8% mortgage level being breached. We did breach that level this morning, this week, and 9% to 10% mortgages by early 2024. Absolutely brutal.
Well, what they don't bring up here is that, so if you're buying more than 3 properties, doesn't that fall into commercial real estate in a sense? And
there is a level where that transfer, I don't know if it's 3, but I know that there's a certain amount.
Well, nonetheless, what I'm getting at is when we looked at the sploose the other day, that was showing that once that level gets above 60, that typically we hit a recession. Well, where you and I can do a 15 or 30-year mortgage, commercial can't do that. It's around 3%. So if they get a refinance and the bank chooses not to refinance, they immediately have to come up with the money. And right now, with all the banks tightening commercial lending, that's going to become very relevant. So if you bring this chart back up again.
Oh, yeah, I'll go get it from here. Give me a second. I'll go ahead.
No, mainly.
The one I just had for you?
Yeah. You popped off of it. So it is not affordable for these people to be buying anymore. It's also why you're going to see rent prices coming down and everything else. But the main reason why they stopped buying is because banks are no longer lending out this money.
Right.
And if interest rates come up even more, you're going to absolutely see that crash.
100%. I absolutely agree with that.
To dump properties. You're going to see massive foreclosures.
Yep. Absolutely. And we were talking about FHLB, just kind of, I use FHLB to help me get a bellwether on which banks are the most at risk. And just explaining what it is, founded in 1932, the 12 federal home loan banks, FHLBs, have historically provided long-term funding for specialized mortgage lenders. Legislative changes in the wake of the 80s thrift crisis spurred the FHLBs to expand into both size and scope. Now, FHLB balance sheets are now included a substantial investment in mortgages and mortgage-backed securities. The intended interest rate risk has created a financial and accounting difficulty at some of these facilities. These are things like Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, and it's a government-sponsored enterprise that funds itself largely with the federal agency debt obligations. So that's kind of what it is in general. This is something insane that I saw. This is from Swifty Ducks. And this is just a highlight from Q2 and Q1 data. So we have Q1 data showing, and it has kind of the morgue up top here. So these are the ones that have already gone under signatures: Silicon Valley, First Republic, and Silvergate. But the top of the list that we've been railing on, and it's coming back in the news. This is going to be trending soon.
How long ago did I bring that up?
We've been talking about it a long time. We've been talking about this for I think 6 months.
258%.
You like that? Does that make you Randy, baby?
That's insane.
Look at that. FHLB percentage as of equity. They owe 2.5 times more than their mortgage-backed securities are worth right now.
Wasn't Bank of America on this list? No, it was PNC.
PNC's on here. Let's see.
Did we look at Q3 last time? This list looks very different than it was the other day.
Yeah, the numbers of this is an updated list. PNC.
Because I remember making a joke that PNC was almost at the same amount that GameStop was on the over short calls. It was at 130%.
Absolutely. And I think that was a different graph.
Yeah, it had to have been.
Yeah, this one's just a hot off the presses, fresh update one. And this came out right as I put out, make sure to check out my video that I put out on Discover Crypto last night, which called out this situation in specific. So it's pretty validating to see these things going. It is unfortunate to see them happening in real time, but at least we're ahead of the curve. We're in the know. We're paying attention to things before they get it to us. This is what the advantages of having situational awareness in the economy can bring. So knowing all this information, keep it in mind. If you see, interest rates go down, be hot and heavy on real estate. For the love of God, like real estate has been absolutely lovely to me, along with crypto. Those two things have absolutely changed my life. So,
I mean, you could potentially be hot and heavy now. Like, I would love to see. I was talking to Johnny a chart of this.
Yeah.
So you're looking at a $400,000 house at an 8%. So at what point do you have an equilibrium of the house dropping in price and the interest rate going up? Because there is a certain point where it's like, oh, you're at a 15%, but the house is half as much. So it's like, is that a deal? And like, I would love to actually see that, because that's math I'm terrible at, but it's very relevant.
I'm really glad you brought that up, because we were comparing like, what if we look like the 70s to the 80s? Like, houses were way cheaper in the 70s than they are today. Homes are screaming north as far as their value. Much different situation, in my opinion.
They're screaming south.
Well, not right now. Not
yes,
really. They're not going down
Atlanta
too fast.
Atlanta is 23% down year over year.
Well,
I tried to talk to Johnny that he should probably sell his house. I think Phoenix is almost.
He's in Phoenix.
It's almost 38%.
Yeah.
Some of the places that are the least price dropped are like the Northeast and things like that.
Well, Paulding County is up by 2% this year. So
I was talking to TJ last night. And he sent me this, and it says, breaking the number of homeowners hit with foreclosures, 28% over last year's quarter.
And that number is also a lot lower, because what people can do is almost go into foreclosure, basically do a deal so it's not on paper. So it was a foreclosure, but like
they can stay
with
there.
syntax, it's not. Yeah. Same thing like what a lot of people are doing when they're selling their houses, to be like, oh, I just sold my house for $400,000, and then you look on the back end that the realtors can see, and it's like, well, then the seller paid all the closing costs and then gave them $60,000.
Wait, Joel, what was
to
that
keep the price up?
Percentage from the last year?
The last quarter.
Yeah.
The last quarter.
Yeah.
So that number is going up.
Foreclosures are about to rip, and
Foreclosures
I know.
going up. So if I'm looking to buy a first house, which
you might get
probably
the
not
ground
anymore,
floor,
but I'm saying you should buy a foreclosed house if you can find a good deal, like a cheap foreclosed house.
Let it play out over the next year or two. Catch them all.
You're going to see a massive amount of people being in negative equity. If all these banks have all this unrealized loss,
a lot.
If the 10-year is not paying off, which are mortgage-backed securities, at some point, what's going to happen is once you're in this negative equity, the bank's going to go, dame.
Right.
And you're going to be like, but I'm paying.
Right.
Nope, you're negative.
They don't want
equity.
the risk anymore.
And they just take your house.
Yep.
And
It's
that is going to happen to probably most people who have bought their houses in the last 2 years.
Let me ask you.
Sorry.
This is.
Not
I
most.
want to rail on this.
A lot.
I was thinking about the Bitcoin ETFs.
Any house that has been bought in the past 2 years will be under what they paid for it. I'd say in the next year.
You think so?
Yes.
That's going to be brutal. That's going to be brutal. Pay down as much of the house.
Equity.
Don't like.
And I'm going to buy that house. No,
just put down as much as possible. I had, when I purchased homes, all the real estate agents wanted me to, just put down a little bit. You know what I mean? Take the loan. The money's cheap. Don't worry about it. That's a fool's notion. And it's irresponsible, because this whole problem that these banks have is off of taking debt as value. Stop doing that. Stop playing. If we want to change the future, it's not going to be easy. You have to lean in. You have to buy things outright. Try not to take debt as money. It's not a reasonable thing. It's not a sound thing. It's what I disagree the most with on Robert Kiyosaki and his approach to the markets, because if you just follow his notion to a T, all we have is the same debt-built system, somewhat connected to blockchain 20 or 30 years from now.
Where I disagree with you is the system that we're in. So, for example, you take $200,000 right now and use that money, or would it have been better to use $20,000 of stronger money, and as that money inflates, you have that extra $180,000. So you're taking a stronger dollar and just dumping it right then and there.
Yeah, I dump it and I buy it outright.
That would be another cool chart to look at.
It would be.
What is the smarter move?
It would be. But it's going to be hard to kind of give a good forecast on that, because there is so much pain. And this matters a lot, man. Like, I'm going to be doing some videos just kind of reacting to what people are going through in middle and lower class. Like I work 3 middle class jobs at once to equal that almost, higher class living situation. It's not easy. You have to work 18, 20 hours a day if you are a middle class person to achieve those heights. It's been very difficult for people to break into homeownership. Now, this came from Bar Chart. Homeowners need to earn $115,000 a year to afford a median priced house in the United States. This is the highest level in history, more than 50% higher since the start of the pandemic. That is the biggest takeaway for me on this. Since 2020, this need for your income has increased by half, which has absolutely gutted the average, family's ability to purchase goods. And it hurts my heart. That's what the whole point is about going live every day and talking about crypto, is to change everyone around us their financial future, because we don't want to leave people behind and get stuck not owning anything, as the World Economic Forum's goal is to not own anything and be happy. We're trying to stop that from happening. And it starts by...
So we need to go long on lobotomy stocks.
Go long. Oh, God.
Everybody's happy.
Bro, I wonder if you could market lobotomy right now. So I feel like there's an audience. There's a target audience that would be like,
if you
sign me up.
Do it on TikTok, you're going to sell out.
Literally,
seconds.
they're going to be like, here's my solution.
I've been watching gang, tick, 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 tick. I couldn't even stand it. Bobby wants me to get on TikTok for a Blockchain Basement channel, or, our socials on there. I made an account, and then I haven't followed anything. And I click into the account just to basically change my name and see what the format looks like. And the first thing is this. I can't know if it's a dude or a girl or whatever it was, but it was just rubbing its hair and just looking at the camera, and it felt very, very dystopian. I left and things were bad with the lady with the clicky fingernails in China harvesting all information. I came back because I know they already have it and they know where to find me. So come and get me. And it's just an absolute degradation of humankind. It's very disappointing to see. But I guess I'm going to be on TikTok to build out the freaking...
TikTok is the wave for building a brand marketing right now. You would kill it for real if you watch the trends and keep up with it. It's its own freaking ball game, though.
I had some fun videos on there before. I was chopping trees down and I was breaking stuff. I was taking care of business. But that account's gone. I got to redo it.
Everybody on TikTok, the community on TikTok, those people get on it every single day and they watch the trends. They are on it. They are up to date. But I'm I don't have time to be on there paying attention to every single trend that these people recognize. But that's how you do it. Just pay attention and be quick and follow the trends. I could help you. You would do good on TikTok.
I guess TikTok. I have to do it, right? They already have my info. I'm not scared about, I have
lobotomy, poor man's Neuralink.
Oh my God.
Same thing, right?
Absolutely amazing.
Well, the Reddit crowd had a lobotomy overnight with the rug pull of Moon Coin and bricks. This is from Predator. Absolutely sick account. Very spicy, so don't go in expecting not to be offended. Reddit is causing the price to drop by 80% by removing themselves from the project, and confirms that they were indeed securities after all. Something I've been arguing on Reddit since 2020. This is just more of that reverberation results from having no regulatory clarity. Companies are basically just, we might not be in compliance, so we're going to rug the whole thing. And I'm sorry about you. We had this amazing idea, and instead we can't have nice things. So I hope that Reddit Mooncoin is able to recover. It's not looking good so far, but we'll see where that goes. Might be a potential buying opportunity if you're feeling hyper risk adverse. You're ready for it, but honestly, I'd be doing about 0.25% of my entire portfolio into something like that. So just tread carefully. This came out, Chainlink. I am a Chainlink maxi. Paxos, which issues PayPal. DZ has ruined this word for me. PYUSD. It
looks very sus.
I know, and ever since he said that, I can't stop seeing it. So shout out to DZ. And uses Chainlink proof of reserves. has 4.5x their link position. This is just bullishness for my Chainlink bags from 64,000 Chainlink to a 300,000 link. That's a whole big bag of Chainlink right there. Paxos is a trusted service through the Nubank and what is this? Mercado Libre. I never heard. Amazon of Latin America, MasterCard and Venmo. Paxos must know something. I think Paxos, they are pretty plugged in to a lot of pretty up and coming projects. So I'm going to be watching what Paxos does with the PYUSD coin. I hate saying that coin though. It's such a terrible idea to name it that. Shout out to them. Maybe you guys can watch the show and change it. Now, this came out from Coinbase International Exchange. Again, they didn't have regulatory clarity to open perpetuals in the United States yet, but they did release it internationally. Looks like it's coming. So they posted this morning, basically just highlighting this is the hint to perpetual futures coming. And then I think they did follow it up on Twitter with an actual official announcement here. Go to their official Twitter account. Yep, perpetual futures have arrived. Coinbase advanced customers in eligible non-US geos can now trade BTC, Ethereum, Litecoin, and XRP on perpetual contracts. Must be nice to be able to have nice things. Must be nice. I'm sure it'll come to America. BJ, I had a thought I wanted to run by. And, anyone in here, hear me out, okay? So... Bitcoin. We talk about this spot Bitcoin ETF all the time. How it's guaranteed to come next year, right? Maybe we don't get it. 1933, the U.S. government confiscated gold, offered you little notes, little IOUs. Then, 1974, you get gold futures ETF approval. It took just about 40 years to do so. And then it takes another 50 years for them to allow a spot gold ETF. Gold is obviously one of the most proven forms of value in human history. So they took 50 years to create a spot ETF for it, but allowed it to be controlled and manipulated heavily on the future side well before that time frame. So what gives us the idea that they want to approve
a spot before a future?
A spot before. Well, they've already approved a future. The future's there, but don't you think
the future's here?
The future's here. You had to do that. Don't you think they're going to have to wait a little bit longer? Are we getting ahead of ourselves, thinking that we just deserve it? And looking at the history of arbitrage, I don't see that that's horribly reasonable to just expect it as a guarantee next year. And I also don't think that Bitcoin moving up and doubling or tripling over the next few years relies on it either. But taking a step back and looking at the forest through the trees, we might have quite a while to go on a spot Bitcoin ETF. I'm just throwing it out there.
Yeah,
Am
the
I wrong?
technology accelerates. So
you think so?
I mean, that's
an
probably a
accurate
BS
statement.
argument, but with the speed of transactions, business, and everything else from what you were talking about from like the 30s to the 70s, things are far more accelerated now.
That's accurate. Absolutely.
So, plus, they need more manipulation. They need to play with things. We are very are we in a really different financial world?
Well, I think that we're in like a technological arms race now. I think that we're trying to race China and BRICS essentially in, overhauling financial markets. But really, are they going to do it with Bitcoin while there's an enemy that potentially could be the world reserve currency? That has to be settled first. Who's going to be the leader? I don't think
there's a land grab for Bitcoin.
There is. Absolutely.
There also is for gold. I mean, the conversation I feel like we stopped having earlier this year or at the end of last year was how much gold Russia and China have been buying versus the United States and how much their reserves have gone up on both. So if you're going to have some kind of arms race, well, as you said, gold has kind of been the thing. Two of those BRICS countries have been grabbing it.
And now it's chips too, like NVIDIA.
You don't want your competition. If your competition is gold versus Bitcoin, you kind of already have the powerhouse on the gold. That one, wouldn't you also want to grab Bitcoin as well? If that's potentially the other avenue, if they believe it to be. So,
gotta make you think
it's just gold.
Well, another thing that plays into my mind of why, like, again, I'm thinking and expanding on your idea about how technology is kind of increasing that rate of advancement, which it definitely is. I also think about basically, we see Congress is pissed that they're being left behind, and they can see America has to do some work with this regulatory clarity to catch up Singapore and all these other nations. Maybe that might incline Congress to be a little more hard-sided about making a spot Bitcoin available. Something? What's that?
To just do something instead of doing filibustering and passing a bunch of bills that don't matter.
Right. Absolutely.
I mean, this is self-inflicted. Yeah. You know this.
Yeah. There's a lot of things playing in the spot Bitcoin ETF thing.
It's like the kid who puts the stick in their tire and crashes and goes, ow, woe is me.
Yeah, that definitely is.
That's very basic physics. You know what was going to happen.
Wasn't there like deadlines though, like May?
No, there's many deadlines. Like
but
yesterday,
if they just skip them, like what's going to happen?
They just delay them.
Like words don't matter. Like when you say deadline and you mean like that's the deadline.
There's no like punishment, right? So they can just do whatever they have.
Well, the final deadlines for what's on the table are coming at about the last one. I think is May of 2024.
Right, and if they miss that, what happens? Nothing.
And they got to reapply. You got to do your paperwork again.
I wish the deadline was like almost like a if-then statement. So it's like, here's the deadline.
Yeah.
If you don't do it, it's approved.
Yeah.
That'd be nice. Invesco just file one?
Yes. Invesco has one on file. Fidelity overnight resubmitted its application as well.
So all of those big dogs are just all competing to have the first Bitcoin ETF.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
And what is the reason that they're getting rejected? Is there many?
That's a great question. I mean, it's essentially that hasn't really been clarified yet. That's what Congress is pissed about. So is it
getting rejected, or for example, like let's say I'm in a court case and the judge is about to make a decision and you temporarily pull it back so that you can add things to discovery, for example. So like we are pointing our fingers at the legislation doing this, but how much could it be the people who are trying to get the approval are like, actually, hold on, let's add something, or like, hold on, let's amend this, because they never talk about that side. Like these discussions are two sides. Like,
that could
for example, like I'm filing for a patent, and I had the option to either not make an office action, to do an office action by a certain date, or to move that office action to give myself more time. So what is the feasibility that the people who are applying for these ETFs are doing the same thing? They're like, once it's in the books, like you can keep extending that. So it's like, did they initially have a deadline to get things going? Is there something with maybe P&L statements that correlates to this? So it's like, once you start applying for the ETF, are your like profit and loss statements like active books? And so that you want to maybe potentially get a bunch of losses in before that the ETFs are approved, and then you're able to somewhat manipulate prices on that. Like these are a lot of questions. Like I'm not stating this is the case, but
it's a great question to ask.
Not single-sided.
BJ's smart.
No, I love the questions you ask. You got to question all kinds of stuff.
What is he saying?
And it's a big subject. But we also have Larry Fink, who I would argue is more powerful than the president, that is pushing for it to happen all of a sudden. So there might be some new inclinations to do so from the powers that be. Only time will tell. I'm in crypto either way. Like I said, I don't think that a Bitcoin spot ETF is going to be the absolute necessary fuel for the next bull market. I think that the halving event and the kind of system that Bitcoin is set up to be is going to make that happen either way. But the last time in 1974, when they did finally approve it was 1974 they approved the futures and it absolutely ripped, and then 2003 that's when they approved the spot.
When did they initially start applying for those? So here's my question. This would be fun to look at. If in 1961 we go off the gold standard, and then afterwards ETFs for gold are then approved, like that's actually interesting. If you think about that, is if it took X amount of time for them to approve it, they basically manipulate the market in the sense that what was a gold standard no longer exists. So if we're talking about CDBCs and a bunch of other things like that, while we're talking about Bitcoin futures, it's like, do you almost weirdly bring in CDBCs, then crypto becomes relevant, and then you do the ETFs? Because a lot of these things are kind of like running parallel right now.
They are. And one of them is, I think that the CBDCs would probably, you'd imagine that they're going to get that done first. That's what their focus has been, is stable coins. And
But you didn't do it in the 70s with gold.
that's
You
true.
removed the gold standard, then you did it.
Right. Yeah, because the gold ETF, the futures gold ETF, was released in 1974, and then 1971 is what you're talking
But
about.
I'm wondering when that discussion started for doing gold ETFs.
We need to look into that. I'm looking at the history, and I mean, I can tell, it was done in 2004, but we need to do a little bit more research on that and see how long gold spot ETFs spent in review. That's a great question to ask.
Yeah, we need a video on that.
That's a really great question to ask. Crypto in my veins bring up, but we should do a basement spaces in the evening.
Yes. Come on. Bring
Just
the
like
spaces back.
drunk Drew.
Yeah, just me yelling, get off the table, go over here. You hear a chicken just scream.
So it goes from the Druth to the Drufus.
Yeah, dude, my life is Jumanji at home. Like, I get in there and it's just, I get attacked.
Have you
death.
killed any of your chickens
Yes.
on purpose, like to
Yes.
eat them?
Yes, many chickens.
Y'all.
Yeah, I have too many chickens. You haven't heard my chicken problem?
I couldn't do that, bro.
I have too many chickens now. They've taken over my neighborhood.
Do y'all remember when Waka Flocka was here? I looked up and I just saw Waka Flocka. But I was watching last night and went down a rabbit hole. He has a farm. I was
really?
watching Waka Flocka.
That's awesome.
He has bales of hay and he's
What?
apparently he tweeted it in 2016 that he wanted a farm, and then in 2020, 2021 he got it.
Good
and
for
was
him.
making TikToks.
That's wholesome.
I was like, oh, I love Waka.
Super
That
nice,
is
dude.
wholesome.
That's smart.
I like that. I like anyone who farms.
I like how I got on his good side really quickly because my drummer played with him for a really long time.
Yeah.
And when I met him, I just showed him a picture of my drummer from when he was 8 years old with these giant bottle cap glasses. He goes, "You know Ali?" It's like, that's how you know somebody knows somebody very well, when you show them a childhood photo and they're like, that's without a doubt that person.
Oh my God.
But he was super nice and is massive.
Man,
I look tiny next to him.
you guys got me thinking about this gold thing. We got to make a video on how
I
long
do think
it's
it's relevant because again,
And blockchain basement spaces.
it's people are clever.
we have
People
to.
come up with new ideas, but when you know old tricks worked, why not try them again?
A lot of people are shocked when they learn. Just tell them that the U.S. government, seized gold in 1933. Your stuff's not intrinsically safe just because it's yours in your hand. Your home, your land can be seized in the right kind of emergency or control
For national
situations.
security,
yeah,
national
for
interest.
safety. For safety, we're gonna beat you up because you're not wearing a face
Yeah, you all
mask.
have homework. You need to listen to a lot of the discography of Anti-Flag over the weekend.
Anti-Flag, I need to revisit them. We have other things happening like X. It looks like X is implementing a mandatory $1 a year subscription plan to essentially
KYC you and get you ready for assimilation to a crypto wallet.
Yeah, I mean, obviously you love the KYC thing, and honestly, aren't bot farms going to pay that $1 to look
Yeah,
official?
how easy would that be to set up?
Yeah, and I saw Zach XBT. He tagged the X support because he's highlighting that so many of these crypto scammers have the blue check mark already. They pay for the program to look official. That's kind of the name of the game for a scammer, is to kind of put the veneer on that they are a real person, that they're not there to scam you. I think that this $1 a year thing is kind of BS. It's not really going to fix much. It might have a small effect, but even with his implementation, I think it's like $8 or $9.
Does Twitter want to get rid of the bot accounts if bot accounts increase engagement numbers, and then when they're trying to get investors for advertisement, the numbers look higher?
Right.
But if you know that you like the bot accounts because it spoofs engagement numbers, well, you don't want to look like you're complicit with that. And then you're like, oh, well, here's a system to make it so that they don't
Just like a little
exist.
attempt. He's just like, there we go. Yeah, we fixed it. You
And
know,
it's like if you're cutting your lemonade and somebody catches you and you just put 3 more lemons on top to make it look like they're going in there, but you never squeeze them. You're like, oh, it's definitely not from concentrate.
Yeah. So just on that note, just assume everything's, if you're watching crypto or you're listening to someone, just assume that they're suspect and then work up from there. It helped me kind of stay insulated away from scammers and things like that for the most part. You all make mistakes. I will never DM you about crypto on Twitter. So if you ever have a person that looks like my account, I never conversate with anyone about it. Basically, we're only talking about weaponry or farming if you're coming into my DMs. So this is spotted across from a school in San Francisco. Sign reads meth for stolen items. Here is a glimpse of the failed state of California in the district of San Francisco. Free fentanyl for New Year's.
Those signs look brand new, by the way.
This might have been staged, but honestly, this is not far from the truth. Even if these are fake, even if these are fake.
Also, look at the way items is. As somebody who does Photoshop,
that's true.
Is that on the right plane?
Well, let's see. I mean, if it is even written, this kind of looks
a great marketing.
Look at
Meth
that.
for stolen.
I mean, it looks inviting.
Let's not accidentally advertise.
Bro, I have something dark, a dark little story to share really quick, because fentanyl, bro, is a problem. If you're in the USA, if you're in Georgia, if you're in Atlanta, I'm going to a funeral tomorrow for a guy from my hometown that all of my friends know. My boyfriend is like very close with their family. He was my age and he passed away from an overdose like Sunday or Saturday.
It's tearing the country apart.
It's bad. It's in little suburban homes with like happy families with money. Like it's not even like not that that's makes it okay. Like it's terrible that it's been in lower, places that are struggling. Like that's the places where it's the most abundant. But now it's in regular suburbs. Like it's everywhere. It's a problem. Like your kids are gonna have access to it.
What is a speedball, by the way?
A speedball?
Maybe we should have this discussion.
I don't think so.
My little brother, so he's 10 years younger than me, pretty much doesn't have any friends. And it's not because he doesn't have friends, it's because they're no longer alive, because it was like the Alpharetta Triangle where like a lot of these kids were getting into that stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, it is a problem.
Yeah, I could say I've seen it for a few years. My family is in the crime scene investigation side of life, and they've been having to suit up in hazmat suits for a few years now at all crime scenes because
does it
everywhere.
Effuse?
What's that?
Does it effuse?
I know they're worried about touching it on a
fusion. That's like when you spray something, it is the rate at which it aerosolizes and moves around. So it's like. Does that effuse to where, like, if you're breathing it,
you can breathe it in, you get whiffs of it.
I know
Owen has two Narcanes in his little pouch.
I was about to say they sell it at Walgreens. Like anybody can have it now. Not that is going to fix every problem, but
it's like 100.
Isaiah Pearson.
There's the pharmaceutical industry creating a problem and
literally
a solution.
F big pharma. There's one thing from this episode. F big pharma.
Yeah, I mean that's clear.
There's a lot of things. Smash the like button. Like there's other stuff.
You need to smash the like button to let them know they suck. But I mean that should be clear. After the last 3 years of scam, right? Someone sneezed in China, and all of a sudden you can't go to church.
Like if we're dealing with a lot of this, and it's like you're looking for opportunities. Where would we, as a regular guy, what kind of opportunities do I have for investing? And things that I usually can't invest in.
What, scam PCR tests?
Oh, no, I was trying to move us to a link to.
No. Oh, yeah. Well, of course.
That was smooth.
It
was so smooth.
It was like, what are you talking about? We're going to go back to your message here, Isaiah. But yes, be a friend of a friend of a friend, because Link 2 takes care of us, keeps the lights on, keeps us going. A great sponsor of the channel. They are giving access to Chainalysis, kind of crypto-focused investments in traditional stock version. But the thing about Link 2 is that you don't have to have the minimum investment amount of $100,000 at least. You can get in at the current level, the Ripple offering. You have to have a minimum of $5,000. So that's a good way to get a little bit more access to things that are usually, things for thee, not for me. So it's nice to see him coming out with that. Isaiah, where is that message? Isaiah was wanting to get started on a prepper, basically being prepared. Oh, and can you scroll up to scroll up a little bit there. Where is he? There he is. Okay, I'm not prepared at all. Where do I start? I think this would be. This would be a great question mark to answer now or make a video later. I'm answering it now. Clearly, I'm already thick into this. So.
Could he be talking about crypto though?
No. Well, I mean, all right. Why do you prepare, right? So I'll give you an example. During flu season, when everything collapsed, everyone's running to the hills and stacking toilet paper. I already had a big old basket of goods I could rely on, and I was able to use all of the excess money I had at the time to FOMO into crypto, Bitcoin was $3,500. Ethereum was like $18 or it was $180. XRP was 17 cents, right? So I was able to put everything that I had on the line, absolutely move forward in the realm of danger as everyone's saying, oh my gosh, the world's ending. No, it's not ending. It's just changing. So I moved forward into blockchain heavily at the time. And only because I was already prepared for all those other goods, I wasn't busy buying, toilet paper or bullets, blah, blah, blah. So that's just the context that I want to start off with. But if you, beyond that, beyond financially being prepared, seeing what's coming and going on around you, physically in your world, if you're in the United States, you're going to see civil unrest over at least election season, but probably also tied to that black flag that we showed flying over the mosque earlier in the show. There is going to be serious upheaval going on, especially in city centers. So situational and topographical awareness, understanding your area where you live, different ravines, different things that can offer you cover. Start becoming hyper aware of your environment. Be vigilant. Most of what preparedness can be equated to is being vigilant on all edges, assuming chaos and working forward from there. And I would say that also, we talk about bug out bags and all these different little spider holes and things like that you build in the woods and you're going to make it to, and you got a bug out spot. But the first thing that you need to focus on when you're getting prepared is what's on your body. You got to have you have to have combat. You have to have if you can, an iron good on you, a knife, a flashlight, a lighter, string, make your shoestrings paracord. Magic whistle,
Missile.
Oh, a missile.
Magic missile.
Where you fit the magic missile? You got
his
big
pants,
pockets.
you know what I'm saying?
That's what that was.
It does whistle too.
Oh my God. But yeah,
that's a different issue.
me and Joel are gonna start a prepper channel. I think on the side. You're gonna come over. We're gonna go hang out in the woods and cut some trees down.
Dude, if I go to your house and I hear a chicken freaking out, I'm running.
Oh, you're gonna get bit, bro. They come at you.
The chicken potentially.
They will tear you up.
When you go
man.
get the eggs, do they attack you?
Oh yeah.
Really?
Oh yeah.
That's
Well,
You
awesome.
just like
only when they're trying to turn them into chicks. Otherwise, they don't care. They'll just walk away and let me take them all. But once they're decided, you know what, I want to have some babies, then they're very feisty against me. So
have you
that's
already
cool.
had like a lot of
Oh,
babies
yeah.
hatch?
Yeah, they hatch. I think I've had four sets of chicks be born. So I have way too many. I think it's around 20. It's a lot. They're in the woods and they're now bothering my neighbor, but he's nice. He doesn't notice.
They just run.
They're just
There's
out
not.
there.
There's no
Really?
coop.
It's cage
Wait,
free.
hold on.
man.
Wow, cage-free chickens.
Says we're supposed to do a quick check.
Oh yeah. Oh, you got the coolest one.
Oh, I'm
though.
not pulling it. I don't want to show it on camera.
Owen?
Just a thick one, a nice thick one.
No.
Owen's got the nicest one.
I definitely
He
have the
does.
quickest draw.
There it is.
All
Show
right.
it off,
I got a
Owen.
nice
This
little
he
knife.
finally feels like getting on
I'm already
camera.
good.
There it is. I'll let it focus.
That thing
on
is
there.
like $400.
This is so
guy's
fast.
crazy.
He's got a nice one. He's got a good one. So
Like the amount of time you guys have to flick versus I just have this out. Is it slightly off camera?
yeah, it's a little bit. You can't see it. Bring it in.
very
Bring
nice.
it in.
It's right
Oh, is that? No, that's not the spicy boy.
It's the spicy boy.
Oh, it is. Okay, that is a very spicy boy. We should go knife throwing, but we gotta go. We gotta go film some more shows.
Did you do the link too? You did that?
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
I already did the link
Sick.
too. They're taking good care of us. We appreciate everyone in the chat showing up every day. I know every single one of you that's showing out every day is going to make it. Stay focused, stay convicted. This is the time to change our future. And we'll be seeing you tomorrow. Take care.